Yesterday marked the 25th anniversary of the Workers' Memorial Day, which is observed every year on April the 28th. It's a day to honor those workers who have died, been disabled, injured, or made sick by their work. It is also a day to acknowledge the suffering experienced by families and communities, and to recount, or I should say to recommit ourselves to the fight for a safe and healthy workplace for all workers. It is the day that the Occupational Safety and Health Administration was established in 1971. Too many people each year mark this day by remembering loved ones lost in a workplace tragedy, and to them we offer our sincere condolences. We also honor the memory of their loved ones, and we take the opportunity to discuss ways to reduce future workplace tragedies so that fewer families have to face the pain of losing a loved one in often preventable workplace incidents. In 2012 alone, 4,383 workers were killed on the job, including 163 workers in my home state of Pennsylvania. Nearly 3 million workers were injured, and an estimated 50,000 to 60,000 workers died from occupational diseases. That's about 150 worker deaths each day, if you do the math on the total of those who lost their lives. OSHA does not have nearly enough inspectors for the approximately 132 million workers nationwide. In fact, OSHA has only one inspector for about every 69,000 workers at over 9 million work sites across the country. Let me just say that again, one inspector for every 69,000 workers. Workers see firsthand the hazards on the job and in their workplace, and because OSHA cannot be everywhere, workers are an important resource in addressing the hazards in their workplaces. But in order for workers to properly identify and report workplace hazards, they must have first have confidence that they will not lose their job or face other types of retaliation for doing so. Previous congressional hearings focused on the Upper Big Branch mine disaster where 29 workers died, or the Deepwater Horizon explosion where 11 perished, both in 2010. In these instances, surviving workers and family members who lost loved ones recounted known hazards, but workers felt threatened or pressured to keep working, fearing they might lose their job if they spoke up. These incidents highlight the importance of whistleblower protections. Maybe these tragedies could have been avoided if safety violations and concerns that were not reported had been brought to light. OSHA has taken action to address administrative issues with its Whistleblower Protections Program, identified in reports by the GAO and the Department of Labor Inspector General, and made great progress in improving how the program functions. Despite these efforts, the gaps in OSHA's whistleblower protection statutes, specifically Section 11C of the OSHA Act, which accounts for over half of OSHA's whistleblower caseload, still leave me with concerns, and that's an understatement, concerns about workers' ability to freely identify hazards to their employers and authorities without fear of retaliation. With fewer inspectors and many more workers to protect today than in past decades, it is imperative that those in the best position to identify hazards, workers, have adequate whistleblower protections. So we called this hearing today so that we can do at least three things. Number one, review the current whistleblower protections in the OSHA Act, Section 11C, and compare them to recently updated whistleblower statutes. Number two, we seek to consider whether the current whistleblower protections are sufficiently adequate to encourage workers to report safety and ethical concerns so as to avoid future workplace disasters like those we've seen in 2010 most recently. And lastly, evaluate what updates, if any, are needed to make workers more comfortable in identifying safety hazards or violations and ultimately make the workplace safer for American workers.